Zimbabwe's ruling party, Zanu-PF, is once again making headlines, and not for the right reasons. Over the weekend, at its annual National People's Conference in Utare, the party reportedly resolved to extend President Emmerson Mnangagwa's stay in power beyond his constitutional term limit. The controversial decision, which insiders say was quietly pushed through during closed-door sessions, has been described by critics as nothing short of a constitutional coup. If implemented, it would allow Mnangagwa to remain in office until 2030, 2 years beyond the limit set by the current constitution, which caps the presidency at 2 5-year terms. The move has sparked immediate outrage across the nation, with legal experts, opposition leaders, and civil society groups warning that Zimbabwe is sliding back into authoritarianism. Announcing the resolutions, Zanu-PF's Secretary for Legal Affairs, Sayembe, confirmed that the party had formally instructed him to begin drafting constitutional amendments within the next 12 months. The goal is clear: change the law so that the president can legally stay in power beyond 2028. What makes this even more explosive is that the decision comes amid fierce succession battles within the ruling party. Sources close to the party say the proposal has deepened the rift between Mnangagwa and his deputy, Vice President Constantino Chiwenga, the former army general who helped bust Robert Mugabe in 2017 and pave the way for Mnangagwa's rise. Chiwenga is said to be quietly opposed to any extension, viewing it as an attempt to shut down his own presidential ambitions. The internal tensions have reportedly spilled into private meetings, with growing divisions threatening to fracture the top ranks of Zanu-PF. Outside the party, outrage has been swift and sharp. Civil society organizations have condemned the plan as a dangerous betrayal of the 2013 Constitution, the same document Zimbabweans celebrated as a symbol of hope and democratic renewal after decades of one-man rule. Legal experts note that changing presidential term limits is no small matter. It would require not one, but 2 national referenda to be legally valid. Yet, according to reports from within Zanu-PF, some party insiders believe they can bypass public consent altogether and push the change through parliament using their 2/3 majority. If that happens, it would represent one of the most significant erosions of Zimbabwe's democratic system since independence. Analysts are warning that avoiding a referendum could trigger political unrest and deepen mistrust between citizens and the state. Some even suggest that this move might mark the beginning of the end for Zanu-PF's 45-year dominance. President Mnangagwa himself has so far remained silent. He has neither endorsed nor rejected the party's decision, but observers say his silence speaks volumes. In previous interviews, he publicly declared that he would step down in 2028 in line with the Constitution. Yet his allies are now taking deliberate steps to prepare the groundwork for an extension, and few believe they would act without his blessing. The question many are now asking is, has Mnangagwa changed his mind? The growing backlash highlights a broader trend sweeping across the African continent, one that political scientists call the constitutional coup. It's a pattern in which leaders use legal and procedural manipulations to extend their stay in power, giving the illusion of legality while subverting the spirit of democracy. From Rwanda to Togo, Ivory Coast to Cameroon, leaders have amended constitutions under the guise of ensuring stability or continuity, only to cement personal power. In recent years, Egypt's Abdel Fattah el-Sisi extended his rule to 2030. Uganda's Yoweri Museveni removed both term and age limits altogether, and in the Central African Republic, Faustin Archange Touadera reset his term count entirely. Zimbabwe now appears to be following this same well-worn script. According to a 2024 Afrobarometer survey, more than 75% of Africans support strict 2-term presidential limits, viewing them as essential safeguards against dictatorship. Yet, ruling elites continue to undermine them, driven by fear of losing power and access to economic privileges. Experts say these constitutional coups may appear peaceful on the surface, but often plant the seeds of instability. When leaders rewrite the rules to suit themselves, they erode public trust and open the door to unrest or even military intervention. The recent coups in Gabon and Guinea, both triggered by unpopular attempts to extend presidential mandates, are stark reminders of what can happen when leaders defy constitutional boundaries. For Zimbabweans, this moment feels painfully familiar. The nation spent 37 years under Robert Mugabe's rule, decades defined by repression, corruption, and economic decay. When Mnangagwa took power in 2017, he promised a new era of accountability, constitutionalism, and reform. Many citizens hoped the cycle of lifelong presidencies had finally been broken, but today, that optimism is fading fast. Mnangagwa, who has served in government for nearly half a century, now stands accused of repeating his predecessors' mistakes, dismantling the very legal protections that were meant to prevent another authoritarian chapter. The consequences of this decision could be far-reaching. Politically, it risks tearing Zanu-PF apart as younger leaders grow restless and rival factions jostle for succession. Economically, it could discourage investment and deepen the isolation of a country already struggling with inflation, corruption, and unemployment. Diplomatically, Zimbabwe could face renewed criticism and possible sanctions from Western nations, undoing years of efforts to re-engage the international community. Observers say that for Mnangagwa, extending his rule might offer short-term security for himself and his inner circle, a way to protect their political and financial interests. But, in the long term, it could destroy what remains of Zimbabwe's democratic institutions. Every time a leader changes the constitution to stay longer, the people lose a piece of their democracy, one analyst told the Daily Mail Africa desk. Zimbabwe risks walking the same road that led to Mugabe's downfall, a slow, stubborn march away from reform and toward ruin. For now, the ruling party appears determined to press ahead. CMI has already confirmed that drafting work on the constitutional amendment will begin soon. Parliament insiders say the party's legal committee is exploring technical justifications for the change, language that could frame it as a minor adjustment rather than a full-scale overhaul. Behind closed doors, party strategists are said to be preparing a national messaging campaign to sell the extension to the public as a matter of continuity and stability. But opposition figures are preparing for a fight. Nelson Chamlis's Citizens Coalition for Change and several civic groups are reportedly considering coordinated protests and legal challenges to block the move. As the dust settles, one thing is clear: Zimbabwe stands at another crossroads. Will it uphold the Constitution that millions once celebrated as a beacon of hope, or will it allow power politics to rewrite history once again? The path Zanu-PF takes in the coming months could define the nation's future for decades. For many Zimbabweans, this isn't just another political maneuver. It's a question of principle, a test of whether the sacrifices made to win freedom and democracy still mean something in a country that has fought so long and so hard to achieve them.